there. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you all. I'm Melissa Wilson in the Fox 26 studios in Houston, Texas. So happy to welcome you here today. I think this is such a special time of year for a lot of us, but let's face it, life happens, right? And there can be things that can sort of bring us down, especially something like the loss of a pet, which can actually be devastating. I feel like my pets are my children, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, and a lot of people do. And I think sometimes the loss of a pet can be really difficult because you might feel like you shouldn't treat that loss like a person, and maybe you just don't even feel like going out. But let's face it, again, they're like the people in our lives. So I have a beautiful guest to join us today who's going to help us work through those very emotions. So let's put our hands together and welcome Reagan Pasternak. Welcome. Thank you for being here on Lunch for the Soul.
Thank you so much for having me. I love people who love their pets.
Yes, I'm with you. I couldn't live without mine. I know you have five now, and you are honoring one that really touched your life through a book. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But I just want to remind everybody that if they may be joining us right now and say, wait a second, I recognize her. How do I know her? Let's talk a little bit about your career as an actress. What an exciting career you've had. And I was able to take some screenshots of some things that you've done recently, Sharp Objects. Then you're also in Being Erica, Miss Pat. Talk to me about what it's been like to be in some of these very popular shows.
Aw. Yeah, since I was a kid, it's always just been my passion is music, acting, and how lucky am I that I get to make a living from my passion. And I'm Canadian originally, so I started my career there. And of course, you go to Ceiling, and then you come to LA, where I am now, and I absolutely love my job. I do. I'm very, very blessed. Mhm.
Well, you have a different job these days, and that is of an author. So let's talk about that. And it all revolves about this beauty. Let's talk about Griffin. And first of all, just tell me how much this cute fur baby meant to you and still
Yeah,
means to you to this day.
absolutely. Griffin was my first pet as an adult. I grew up with animals. Always loved animals, but him and Cleo, his sister, were my first babies as a grown up. And I absolutely had a special connection with him that I don't think I'd ever had with an animal before.
Mhm.
And and then he ended up with a heart condition. And so I knew about a year before he died that he was sick and it was terminal. And I had to work and I had to get on with life, as I'm sure some of your viewers of animals have had this happen, where your time is limited. He was only 7 years old, and I was traveling. I had to keep going with my life, but he was getting sicker and sicker, and finally he died. And what I started learning was with a human, people are much more acceptable. They call it a disenfranchised grief when certain griefs that happen in your life that aren't taken quite as seriously.
Mhm.
And so when he passed away, I was at a film festival that I had to continue working, and I just was shutting down. I don't know how else to say it. And I kept waiting for the pain to go away, and it just kind of didn't. And I just buried it. And finally I started accepting that if I don't, and I was searching, I would go to the bookstore and I'd be like, what can I find to help me get through this? This is crazy. I cannot function really. I got another cat and I got another dog. I thought that would just Band-Aid it all, which is why there's a Band-Aid on the front of the book. And gradually I started realizing I'm going to make this resource because I couldn't quite find what I needed. And it took me years actually to finish the book because, and I'm so glad it did, because I incorporated everything I was learning through technical things like there's one of my animals there, but just through meditation and through just books on healing. I incorporated it all, and I just started writing. And gradually, it ended up becoming a very interactive book. I wrote it as if I was the reader's friend, because that's what I needed. I needed completely got it, wouldn't judge me. And so then the book ended up becoming a page for me, my memories of Griffin, and then suggestions that I learned how to deal with guilt or whatever the subject was that I'm writing, and then pages for the reader, for the other person who's in mourning, to talk with me back about their situation and their memories of that specific loss.
When I think of, probably not in LA right now, but in the Houston area, it's very much feeling like a winter these days. And I think about just snuggling up when you're going through a hard time. Maybe you have a comfy blanket, maybe you have some candles going. You thought of that with this book. How interesting is that you came up with this idea? Tell me more about this and how this came into and I see the names of your candles. That pretty much says it all: to love, to remember, to heal. That's what you're trying to help people do.
You got it. So, well, I put out a first edition of the book, completely not knowing how it was going to be received. And of course, it was received so beautifully. Thousands and thousands of readers started reaching out to me. It makes me want to cry just thinking about how absolutely blown away and grateful I am about that all. And so we put out the second edition. And with that, my mind the entire time was going, because I couldn't believe how many people felt the exact same way when their animals passed away. Of course, Cub's coming into the picture right now. And so I started thinking, what else can I give to people, and people who've already read the book now? And because animals, of course, they don't live as long as us. So we might go through many of these losses in our lifetime. So I wanted to do memorial candles, and took me a year to be perfect about every little detail. And I put tiny little, I have one here, but there's little quotes from the book on them. And I made the smell so perfectly. I have to admit, it's sage and oat milk, because I wanted it to be clearing and comforting. And I just put every single detail of my heart goes into every single, one of these products. And I just wanted people to feel really loved when they're in that kind of pain. And then, yes, you're right, the blanket, because I'm a huge blanket person. I just love being wrapped up. And when you're feeling sad and lonely, I wanted something that felt like a big, luxurious hug. And again, every single detail went into that to make it as perfect as I could possibly make it.
And I love that one of your fur babies has joined us on Lunch for the
My
Soul.
shadow.
Oh, what a beautiful shadow you have there. Oh, that's so fantastic. Well, let's talk more about what makes this different than just, we talk about the blanket and the candles. I think that's so unique. I don't remember buying a book and having those options before. So way to go to think of something special like that. But you have this as a one-stop shop. So we're talking about not only a book, but you've turned it into a journal, a workbook, and then perhaps a keepsake where somebody can keep that and remember their pet forever, right? Even places for them to put their pictures. Talk more about what it's all about.
Exactly. It's funny, because I don't know how it all came to be, but it did come to be way more than a book. It came to be like I said, a friend. So you're sitting with a friend. The chapters are easy, because when you're in grief, you don't want to be going through a whole textbook of information. So I tried to do it in little increments. And then, and then we used thick, beautiful paper so that there are places for you to put photos of your animals. I talk about at the very beginning of the book exactly what you should have on hand while you're reading the book, because I believe that releasing memories and releasing the pain gets you back to the love. And so you can remember them without being in so much pain. And then so ultimately has a slipcase, and it's ultimately a keepsake. So even though it is my memoir, it's also your memoir. And it's something that you can have that you feel like is devoted and dedicated to your animal, your being. I call them beings throughout the book. Yes.
Yeah. And can you believe just how much our pets come to mean to us? Talk to me more about how, especially Griffin, who this prompted all of this, how it's changed your life and how they enhance your life.
I had no idea how much Griffin was going to change my life. I had no idea. I loved him so, so much. And, it's funny. I say at the end of the book, I say animals are like a mighty sponge because they soak up the harder parts of our life, and they bring joy every day. You can be having a hard day and you see your dog, or I have dogs as well. I'm a crazy animal person, but you see them playing, you see them being silly, and it takes away some of that pain, so that when they die, you are left kind of having to really face things that are really hard. And I think that is part of what makes them so integral to our daily life. They bring so much joy. It's been proven that they give us dopamine, and actually we give them dopamine, which is also so sweet. There's such a pure love between an animal and a person. And while I was researching for the book, I was so blown away by amazing human beings I was reading about, journalists, lots of people who were saying that, an animal can sometimes, that death can often be harder than a human death, because the bond is so innocent and intimate. It's like, what other animal do you want? Like, what other being is right in your face, like sniffing your face? And, there's this closeness that actually happens without words. And it becomes part of your soul. It becomes part of your heart. And so, the loss of an animal, it's intense. And that's why it's so important to learn the art of mourning, because once you learn it as an art rather than this painful, it's painful, don't get me wrong, but if you're reinterpreting it as something beautiful and something you can learn from and pass on to your next animal, or your next human. I mean, my mom died while I was writing the book, and I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't learned all these techniques while I was going through that too. So you kind of go, losing anyone that you love so much, there is a way to get through it and get to the other side and be wiser and be a better person, honestly.
And I want to go back to something you said, because it's so true about it being so hard to lose a pet, sometimes harder than a person, because I feel like in life, people give you grace when you lose a loved one, right? A person, you get maybe a week off from work. People are sending you food and gifts and coming by to check on you and hug on you. And with a pet, it seems like after a day, I move on. That's sort of right. People forget that it happened to you. And so you don't get that time to truly mourn and get people to understand what you're going through. We did a poll recently here at Fox 26, and we asked our viewers on TV, we asked them, would you want time off from work? Would you hope that your employer provides this if you lose a loved one? And I mean, it was like 95% said all employers should give you time off, because give me a break. You're gonna fake your own sickness if you don't get that, right? Because you can't go in all puffy faced. And when you found this advice that you're sharing through your book, did you talk to mental health experts, or how did you just go from your heart? How did you provide that info?
So when this all started, I stopped being able to sleep when Griffin passed away. I had a bunch of other things going on at the time, but I was chalking it up to that. It must be because of XYZ family things that were going on, all that stuff. And when I went to finally see a doctor about getting me back to sleep, a psychiatrist, I talk about this at the beginning of the book. I thought she was going to give me a sleep prescription, send me on my way. And she immediately realized that I was in grief about my cat and that I hadn't dealt with it, and realized, and she was the first person, and she was a professional, and she was a beautiful human being who took me seriously and validated that and made me kind of able to talk about it. And so she gave me many, many amazing resources. She really did start me on this entire journey of Griffin's heart and writing and exploring grief. And so that was my first, into that world. And, but yeah, I definitely am not a doctor. I write this book as a friend. I write this book as a friend who's been in a lot of therapy. And I mean, I know my way around that as well. But ultimately I did try to write this in a very colloquial, am I saying that right way, but to just speak as if you don't have to think too hard. We're just gonna emotionally, I'm attached to my emotions. They're right here all the time, ready to come out my eyes. And so I write the book much more in a right-brained, if you will, type of way. Yes.
Well, I can't tell you how many times I've had a close friend lose a pet and I didn't know what to do. And I would try to find something, a gift. I mean, you know how it is. You just can't think of anything to do to make it better. And I feel like this book could be a really good gift for somebody to go through, especially during the holidays. So I'm so thankful to have gotten to meet up with you and talk about this. And I was excited to see that you actually have Tamara Levitt from Calm be able to say, you know what, this is a must have for animal lovers. So for anybody who listens to the Calm app, they probably know she has the calmest voice on earth. So I'm sure it was exciting to get her to back this for you.
Absolutely. I had some amazing people when we first released the book to get some reviews, to wonderful, brilliant people who I admire. And so, yeah, when she said that and has been a friend and supporting it ever since, yeah, I feel very, very honored and humbled by that, for sure.
Wow, that is awesome. Now we need to get As Seen on Fox 26 up there as well, right?
Yes, I can't wait. You absolutely will be up there, girl.
Oh, I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit more about your career. So I have a photo here that will courtesy you for sharing this. Oh, what is it like now to be on set? Do people talk to you about also being an author? Do you share that information of your successful career and now author? It's a pretty neat thing to be able to add to the things you've gotten to do in your life.
You know what? Yeah, I think it's like this little secret that comes out that,
Hmm.
the actors or producers or, that I've been working with will be like, so I was so happy about your book because I lost my animal. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I'm even touching people in this way, because, it's funny sometimes when I think about this book, I had no idea that it was going to end up being successful and all that stuff. I wrote it from my heart. I wrote it for, the little handful of people I thought were going to read it. And, it turns out that there was a huge need for it. And so even when I'm on set, so many actors are so emotional, and so many actors have animals. So, yeah, it's been a really beautiful surprise. All these, people who open up to me now about this other aspect of their lives, loving an animal. It's like this little secret club.
Well, and almost everybody has a pet, right? And this is something that it does affect everybody. So it's so neat that you found that niche. So talk about what's in the future. We talked about all the different projects you've been working on. Anything in the works you can tell us about?
Well, I've been on a show called Miss Pat for the past 4 years. It's a it's a BET sitcom. It's so very amazing and funny.
Yeah.
There is a fifth season that just got lit, and
Oh,
so we'll see what happens.
congratulations.
Thank you. So we'll see what happens with that. But honestly, I really have been focusing on Griffin's Heart because it is this other passion of mine that when I'm working all the time, I just don't have time. So I've really been super selective, and this is my other love and my passion right now. So I'm really trying to focus in on this until something else is takes me away from it that's worth it, because it's really hard to compete with this for me right now.
Well, I mean, it's an important mission to get out, and I feel like it does help so many people out there. So let's talk about where people can find it. So it's in major bookstores, Amazon. It sounds like it's really easy to find.
Yes. So Amazon, our site, griffinsheart.com, if you want to just check out the details about it all, and the candles and the blanket and etc. So that you can definitely do. Amazon, of course. And Barnes & Noble, I'm about to do a book signing in Santa Monica here in California next month, which I'm so thrilled about. And now it's even available in Canada at the biggest bookstore in Canada, and because it's on Amazon, you can also order it all over the world.
So are you traveling too to be able to get the word out about it for different appearances?
Yes, I can't wait. I'll be going to Canada to do a book signing in their beautiful Indigo there, which is somewhere I grew up in. So it's very exciting for me.
Oh, that is wonderful. Well, as we enter the holidays, I just feel like I hope that this helps a whole lot of people who are going through a hard time. Have you gotten to talk to somebody after they've read it who was grieving to find out how it helped them, or maybe read a review about what people are saying about it?
Every day. Every day people write me, every single day, and that has been the most amazing a part of it. There's people now who I feel like they're my online friends almost,
Yeah.
so I really try to make sure I write back every single person who opens up to me about it, because I know how vulnerable that is for people. But yeah, every day, thousands of people, these are parts that I just was not expecting. I just didn't even know what to expect. So yeah, that's been beautiful. And how people didn't know how to grieve. And most of the time people are buying it for friends. So they've been gifted it, and then they reach out to me to talk about it. And I'm just so blown away, and it helps me heal. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Oh. Do you feel like your faith has helped you get through all of this and help maybe bring this into your life to be able to help others?
I am very connected to my beliefs and my faith. So I definitely know that that's part of it. Yeah,
It's made a big difference in your life.
absolutely.
All right. So I guess people need to get to that website. I've got it right there. GriffinTart.com is the place to go. And then just as we wrap up, can you give us maybe your biggest word of advice in your book for someone who's hurting right now of how they can work through that? And just like you said, work through that pain, not ignore it. Don't put that Band-Aid on it.
I would say that your pain is 100% real. I've learned that you are absolutely not alone. You are valid. And I think it's something to be proud of, to love an animal that much, that it's hurting that much. And you have to take out the time to heal. Do it slowly. Do it from your heart. But know that if you do it properly, you can get to the other side and actually just be better for it, honestly.
Oh, it's so beautifully stated. Well, it's such an honor again to have you here, Reagan. Thank you for taking time. Congratulations on the huge success of this. I know you're going to make a difference in so many lives, and I feel like we all need to have it on hand. We never know how long those fur babies are going to be in our lives, and I know that it'll make a big difference. So thank you again for that.
You're so lovely. Thank you so much.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you so much.
All right. And all your memories of Precious Griffin as well.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. And thank you all for being here on Lunch for the Soul. If you have any ideas, I always encourage you to reach out to me on fox26houston.com. You can find all of our profiles. You can also find all my Lunch for the Soul interviews there. You can find us on our YouTube page for Fox 26 Houston. You can find us on the Facebook page, and always our Fox local app. That might be the easiest way to find it. So thank you for being here. I hope you're enjoying the holiday seasons and that you'll use tools like this book to help you work through it. Don't just ignore that pain. Know it's okay, as Reagan said to you, and reach out and get help. Hope you have a beautiful day, and thanks again for being here on Lunch for the Soul. See you next week.